All right. Hey, everyone. I'm excited to have Carolyn McGee on the Monday Morning Breakthroughs show today to talk about connection at other levels. I'm going to let her describe what she's up to in just a minute, but Carolyn McGee, Sacred Haven Living, healing community, using life's experiences, helping women break patterns to understand relationships to themselves, others, money, and spirit, guiding trusting intuition, making empowered decisions, taking inspired action. She is the lead author of Inspired Living, Superpowers for Health, Love, and Business. She is a TV host, speaker, author, and blogger. Carolyn, you have 20 minutes to give us a breakthrough, girl. You ready?
I am ready.
All
Thank
right.
you so much. I am a living inspired expert. And it's taken me years to be able to feel that, claim that, and live that. Like so many people, I had trauma in my childhood. And throughout my life, until I realized how every choice and thought are connected, I could choose to live in the past, which usually came along with a nice, healthy dose of depression. Or I could be fearful about actually living my life or what's going to come in the future. And that always brought stress and anxiety. And I could worry about what happened before it even happened. So as I consider my trauma and how it turned out to be a blessing for me in 2006, I was a single parent. I had lost my high-tech manufacturing job. And it was the first time I chose what to do right for me. I believed in myself and that connection to my inner wisdom, to my faith in my abilities, and that it was all happening for me and not against me. I took a chance and I started a dog walking company, a pet care business, which is thriving 17 years later. And it reopened my ability to connect with animals. So the next step was to connect with divinity outside of myself. This is all about connections and reminding all of you guys that are listening that connections and relationships aren't just with our loved ones. They aren't just with our business partners or people, our support team. There's a lot of other ways that we can connect that we sometimes take for granted. So I relearned how to communicate with angels and ascended masters and deceased loved ones. I became an energy practitioner and an EFT practitioner. And it really became clear to me that everything around us is a connection. It's deeper than the energy that we use for healing. It's deeper than our physical bodies. It's everything that we surround ourselves with. So here's an example for you to think about, and it might bring up something in your own life. So my grandmother's family has been farmers, probably since before they came to the United States, but it's documented since the mid-1600s. They developed a relationship or a connection with the plants that they grew, with the animals that helped them work the farm and fed them. This flowed all the way down through the generations into my grandmother, my mother, and myself. With an affinity for gardening, my grandmother had over an acre flower garden. I have plants that are shoots or seeds from those gardens. Those plants nurture me as much as I nurture them. That's a connection. And over the past now 5 months, I've been having what I call a health or a medical epiphany. I've had to stop doing and just be. And I noticed as I wasn't able or not having the energy to care for my plants, they weren't thriving. Now they got water, but they weren't getting my attention. They weren't getting the talking. They weren't getting the love. And it became a cycle because as they didn't thrive, then I thrived less. And that energy cycle, that beautiful infinity of giving and receiving between me and my plants diminished. And as I noticed that, I started being the nurturer caring for my plants. And as I cared for them and they started to revive and thrive again, I could receive back. So that's a beautiful connection to think about. And think about what's feeding you and what's not feeding you. I'm going to give you a few more of my own connections. And, I invite you to get your journals out and kind of jot down random thoughts that come in about what feeds you and what doesn't feed you, what brings you joy, what doesn't bring you joy, what perhaps is supporting you that you're really not thinking about. So I'm going to just give you a couple more things. So another thing that's related to my grandparents that I already mentioned is that I'm a pet psychic, as well as being a pet lover, and my animals also feed me. For example, I had fluid around my heart and my lungs. So I was having a hard time breathing. I was, everything was an effort for me when I was ill. And my cats would jump up on my chest and lay there and purr. Now, it's been documented that cats purring is actually healing. The vibration of it is a healing thing. And my cats would take turns. So and they're not small girls, by the way. But the pressure helped because it was a loving pressure. Hearing that sound made a difference. That was a healing connection, a relationship that was being developed. And it was also the sound. It reminded me of, using sound. I have a sound vibration machine that I had turned off. So I could turn it on again and allow that sound as a relationship to heal me. I could go out on YouTube and find other healing modalities to come in and heal me. That made a difference. It's a connection that I could build and build upon to help myself heal. And so another connection that I think I was always aware of, but not to such a deep level, is also to do with my family. I am surrounded by family heirlooms that support me. I have my mother's china cabinet. And when I look at it in my living room, it makes me smile. And I remember her, me going over there after school and her baking and then getting teacups and plates, and we'd have cookies and tea after school. And it was such a beautiful memory for me. Just even talking about it now, I like smiling inside because it nurtured me. And so I have this beautiful piece that brings that memory in and makes it tangible again and makes me remember how loved I was and how loved I am. And I have furniture that my dad made me. And it just fills me with love every time I'm in its presence. And that's a beautiful connection. It's the love that he poured into making that furniture and the fact that I still have it. I have an antique cradle that my mom was gifted at her baby shower for me. And it's filled with plants. So there's two connections every time I see that. So another connection that's powerful for me is the energy of color. Color is a connection. It has a frequency. It has a vibration. It can raise your energy and amplify your desire, or it can make it harder to create what you're looking for in life. If you think about when I was leaving my marriage, I didn't realize how much I missed color. My ex-husband liked beige and gray. I mean, those are the colors that he loved, and they didn't work for me. They depleted me. And I actually kind of went a little bit crazy when I got into my house. My kids used to call it the clown house because every room had a color. Now, it was associated with feng shui. There was a reason behind it all. But I also was so depleted from the energy and the vibration of color that I needed to overdo it and then, repaint it again and kind of tone things down as my body came back and I could fill up with that energy of color. So another connection that you can, a lot of people are aware of, but maybe don't take it deep enough, is crystals. Crystals have a vibration also. It's their color, it's their composition. They can help you sleep. They can help you manifest your dreams. They can help you heal. I learned a lot about crystals in the past 5 months and used them to support my own growth and my own healing. And I had always had them around me, but it wasn't a conscious connection. It was more pretty object connection. So again, your awareness, thinking about how you can connect in with the things that you already have around you. Another thing I want to mention is where you live in the world or the land that you live on is a connection. I lived in Durham, North Carolina until I was almost 7, and then eventually moved, landing in Northern New York, where my parents' families were from. I felt like I was a Southern girl trapped in the North. Ironically, I moved to Massachusetts after college and lived there for another 30 years, successfully, but not entirely happy. I never felt connected to where I lived, to the land, to the energy and the vibration until I moved back to North Carolina. That's a connection. Once my son graduated from college, I moved back to North Carolina. And when I literally crossed the state line, I felt like I had come home. The energy fills me. I connect to the land that I live in a way that I was never able to do. And I actually had astrocartology done, and Northern New York and Massachusetts, where I lived, are number 2 and number 3 drains on my energy. Where North Carolina is, and I did that after I had already intuitively decided to move, to follow my heart. So thinking about where you live, what fills you with joy? Do you want to live in a city? Do you live out in the country? All of those things totally make a difference. So I'd like to stop here for a second and invite you guys to all close your eyes. And take in 3 deep breaths through your nose and out of your mouth. And just continue then for a moment to just breathe on your own pace, your own rhythm, until you feel your heart rate drop a little bit. Maybe the thoughts that you've been thinking as I've been talking kind of drift away a little bit. So you're just really more focused internally, your own energy, your own center. And then open your eyes, look around your room, look around where you are, and what looks different to you? What catches your attention? What calls to you? What do you love? What do you not love? Or what would you perhaps like to be a little bit different? And then grab your journals, take a moment to just jot down a few notes. Perhaps you have something that has supported you, but you don't even realize that it's supporting you. Off to the back here, I have this beautiful angel that I don't know if you guys can see, who reminds me of my connections. One of the first things I see when I walk into my office, because it's opposite the door, it's an anchor point for me. But for many years, I had her kind of tucked away and not really allowing this energy, the support from this beautiful figurine to allow me to focus on how I can connect. So that's just a little example. And I'd love to hear from everybody on what you sense, what you notice, what your thoughts are, what your feelings are.
So, Carolyn, as we wrap up here, tell everyone what you're up to, where they can find you, and all that good stuff.
Okay, so you can find me at carolynmcgee.com or through Facebook. I'm good at checking private messages. If you have something that you want to put there, you can join my Inspired Living Superpowers community, which is based on the book. All the co-authors are in there. I also have a Secrets to Living Inspired talk show that I do on the first and the third Sundays of the month at 11 a.m. Eastern.
Awesome. So we're going to have some information in the show notes for everybody. You can click on Carolyn's website, and please do go explore every guest that we have on the show and on the podcast. This is a community of people who really care about taking you the next step on your journey. So please come on down, learn more about Carolyn and everything that she has to offer. Carolyn, thank you so much for being here and sharing this information about connecting. I wrote notes about all of those different ways, and the people that I have in my life right now who are struggling a little bit, I was thinking of them as you went through that list, and I thought, all right, I'm gonna gently nudge them about color, about their pets, about their plants, about their light in their windows. And I just loved that piece. So thank you so much for, I don't know, just the vibe you put in when you show up in these places for Brave Healer Productions. Any last words you want to share with our listeners?
To take everything in your life as an opportunity, because it really is happening for you, not against you. You may not understand it right away, but really, there's a silver lining someplace.
Thank you. All right, you guys, we're going to wrap up this guest expert interview with Carolyn McGee today. Remember, Brave Healer Productions is here to help you share your brave words and work in the world in a bigger way. So you can come and check out all the stuff we're up to at bravehealer.com. And of course, you can join us for the Monday morning breakthroughs. You're going to find that in the Brave Badass Healers, a community for world changers group on Facebook. You'll see the events and all of the events we have coming up through the end of 23 and into the new year. See you next time, everyone.